let's take the case of a small child in what we call the Insidious Curriculum, which is kind of a thought experiment to get into all these ideas that we've been talking about. When a child is, as we said, going through the process of learning to walk or swim or any of these other more natural, basic, not knowledge-oriented or school or structure-based educational experiences or learning experiences, the main barometer and compass, if we can use that language right now, from which they do that is their own inner impulses. In other words, how their impulses move through them physically and psychologically, emotionally, is how they're moving and orienting and tuning themselves in to being more present in the world, to being able to walk and to swim and so forth. When a child enters a formal structure, one of the things that starts to happen is, in fact, I'll just put it out there, maybe we can get something going with it, is the main lesson of education is that your deep impulses are irrelevant to learning. That when they're growing up, when they're developing, for the first few years of really developing, the most important and the most basic things that they have from which to extend themselves into the learning about the world that they do kinesthetically, that they do emotionally, is their own internal movements, their own internal impulses, emotions, and so forth. They learn to tune and instrument that. When they get into school, they get into a situation where, because of the nature of a classroom and what's going on in it, as the flow of the classroom's moving on, the teacher's saying various things, kids are doing things, the exercises are going on, thousands and thousands of times over a course of a year, they are having impulses inside them that you might say, that I would call need more, meaning needs. They need more. And thousands of times as they have these need mores, not because anybody intended so, but simply because the system itself is unresponsive due to the nature of the way it's evolved, the structure will not allow them to follow through with those meaning needs. It will not allow them to come forth and say, I need this, I need this, I need this, at the frequency that it's happening to them. What I'm saying is it's almost as if these children are placed in environments that have got this fluctuation going on in them about different things, what's going on in the classroom, and that as these things are going on, just like there were magnets affecting metal filings in the bodies of these children, the children are having these meaning movements inside of them. The same things that they used in the regular world to tune in. And that here in the classroom, they're not able to get them out. There's 30 other kids. Teacher can't be everywhere. All of the stuff that everybody already knows about. And I'm not trying to be critical of it, I just want to draw our attention to it. So what I want to say is that as this is happening, what the children are learning is, this is irrelevant. All this stuff is irrelevant. It's like reading a book, right? When they're reading along in a book, for example, they have, I do it all the time. I find myself drifting off or falling asleep 2-3 paragraphs down the road and say, geez, I don't know what happened. I was there, I was in it, now I've kind of drifted away. But children are constantly encountering a word or a term or a phrase or a presentation style or a particular bias cognitively that doesn't work for them. And when they have this need more, there's nothing they can do with it. I'm trying to ask you all to be fish and consider the water. And I'm saying that so long as our environments, and it's not a matter of anybody's fault, so long as our environments are causing us to have these fluctuating need more, what I call meaning needs, and then circumstantially being unresponsive to those, what they're teaching us is, deeply, tacitly, internally, that movement of meaning needs is irrelevant to learning. And I want to say that, just kind of pause that and hold it on the shelf for a second, as we start to look at it from the other point of view. If we look at it from a point of view of cognitive science, if we look at it from a point of view of psychology, if we look at it from a point of view of phenomenology or somatics, or any number of other sciences about the nature of human beings, the conclusions they're all coming to is there's nothing more relevant to how well somebody can learn, how well somebody can be present, than how well they've tuned and instrumented this very process that we just got through saying is the thing they're learning not to use. So this is where we want to bring the conversation today, is into how we can learn into what can be done, not critically, not judgmentally, not based on some sense that we have that education's all wrong. It's not. It's evolving. I think it's just evolving to deal with what it is we're trying to talk about. The question right now is, if we go into the capacities for learning, if we can understand these various things, then the question we bring here today is, how can we learn to do something about it? How can we learn to create a learning environment whose fundamental intention it is that each person that moves through it, whether that environment is the field created by the teacher, or the way the class is set up, or the way the collaboration groups are put together, or the way the school is organized, or the way the state is organized, or at all different levels of the system, how can it be the intention of the system, more than anything else, and I want to go into this with you, that it bring forth a learning-oriented human being. A human being who's able to have a very internally coherent relationship between their own internal meaning need processes we've talked about and their external capacities to relate those in the world.